Hey guys, what's up? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. Now, before we get into the regular gameplay commentary for this particular video, like I always do, I wanted to show you something, which is one of the reasons why I put the cam up, as well as kind of have the whole Jack's Arcade background sort of thing. I got plenty more, so if you like this sort of thing, let me know, and I'll include it with every video in an intro form like this before getting into the meat and potatoes. But we are about a year or so ago, it was announced by Sony, I believe it was Sony, that we'd be getting a brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game, right? But it's not just going to be any Ninja Turtles story behind the game, because it is going to be based off of this story right here, The Last Ronin. Now, for those of you guys that don't know anything about The Last Ronin, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say, and this is very mild, that it is the final tale of the four turtles that you and I grew up watching. The final tale of Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo. And the title itself does have meaning to it. So for those of you guys that want to know more and want to know the specifics, then you guys can obviously do a Google search. You can do additional YouTube searches. But the game that we're going to be getting sometime in the future, which was announced a year or so ago, is going to be based off of this novel. And I think that's very important because it could potentially be the last game that would be featuring these four turtles in particular that we grew up loving. And quite frankly, over the years, we've had good games based off of the Ninja Turtles. We've had bad games, and we've had in between games. But for the most part, we've had some pretty good titles. Turtles in Time is my personal favorite. So with that being said, let me know if you like these kind of intros, and I will do more if that's what you guys like. And let's get right into the gameplay commentary so we can discuss more about this. All right, guys, so if you grew up around the same time as I did with the Ninja Turtles, the vast majority of what we played during our days were pretty much side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I could totally see why or how some people would say that, hey, maybe this is the way we should finish off. If you look at some games that have come out in more recent times, like the recent Prince of Persia, which is basically like a Metroidvania side-scroller or whatnot, or when you look at, what's that other game? Metroid Dread, for instance. It's basically a side-scrolling Metroidvania, basically. Pretty much the way games were in the past, where you basically had to go from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it in today's era without having all the bells and whistles necessary in terms of the graphical fidelity, the frames, and all that kind of stuff. However, I think that there would be also a significant amount of people that would also say that, you know what, maybe it should just be something completely different. I mean, what if they made it to where it was kind of like an action RPG style type of game, where you can literally upgrade the Last Ronin up the wazoo, and then of course, just like the novel itself, the Last Ronin, that particular turtle, which obviously I won't spoil, is using the weapons of all four turtles. So basically, you're talking about being able to use all those weapons, upgrading all those weapons, and of course, upgrading your gear and things like that. And then, of course, you've got all of the enemies and people of the past and of the future or whatnot that you can kind of throw into the game as well, depending on how they decide to go by it. So basically, I'm really interested to know in terms of what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles community thinks about this. Now, obviously, anybody who knows about the story of The Last Ronin is very fascinated. It became an unexpected hit back when the novel was released a few years ago. So basically, they're even making a movie about this as well. They announced it the better part of a year ago, and Paramount will be making it. It is going to be live action, and it is going to be R-rated. So it's definitely a dark tale, to say the very least. But with that being said, the game itself can go a lot more in depth, because as you guys know, the games these days last a lot longer than movies do. And therefore, you can actually tell quite a tale within however long the game is. Like when you look at a game like God of War, for instance, the more recent God of War games, or hell, even the ones of the past, there's a lot of story that gets covered. But obviously, when you look at the current God of Wars and you look at, everything between Kratos and Atreus, et cetera, and the other characters, there's a lot of story, a lot of things that happen, and a lot of back and forths. So I personally think this storyline being brought to life in video game form and obviously in movie form is definitely going to be a hit if done properly. But the main question that I have is, what is the gameplay going to be like? Because I think it's important, especially if you're going to represent the four turtles in some way, shape, or form in this game. Quite frankly, it has to be done in a familiar way that is not only familiar to the lore and to the turtles themselves as well as the story, but also to the fan base, because there needs to be a lot of callbacks, because like I said, the Ninja Turtles themselves have a rich history behind them, and in the novel itself there's also flashbacks that basically explain everything. You know, you start out in current time or whatnot, and then you kind of have your flashbacks, et cetera, et cetera. And you don't even find out who the Last Ronin is until you're pretty deep in, you know what I mean? So it's a mystery even to the reader until you get to the point to where you find out, and then you're like, holy crap. So basically this project for me is in particular very important because of, again, how important the Ninja Turtles are, and I think it's also important to a lot of other people. So in many ways, I think it needs to do a little bit of everything, as crazy as it sounds. So making a project like this definitely has its challenges. So and obviously you've got the boss fights, of course, and if you've read the novel, you will know some of the things that could happen, and as well as other little things that I don't want to hint at because I don't want to spoil anything for those of you guys that don't know. And again, a quick Google search will easily, you know, give you all these answers, and there's even been YouTube videos made off of this novel as well, which is how I found out about it before getting the novel for myself. And quite frankly, it will raise your eyebrows. Quite frankly, it's definitely a dark tale to say the least. And there's plenty of very interesting things that happen within that tale, and a lot of things that will make your eyebrows raised as well. So with that being said, I think I've said enough here. I want to know in the comment section in terms of what you guys think. Do you guys think that they should go old school style to where they can just do the classic gameplay of the old games and just kind of make it to where, you know, it's just obviously with better graphical fidelity, kind of like a Metroid Dread in terms of what Metroid Dread did compared to compared to what it did when the Metroid games first came out on like the Game Boys and Super Metroid? Should they follow those footsteps as well? Should they follow the footsteps of a Turtles in Time? Or should they just do something completely fresh, especially since it takes place in a totalitarian future, so to speak? So I want to know your opinions on this, and with you guys being a part of the gaming community as well as the Ninja Turtles community. So for us, that's pretty damn important. So I am really curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comments section down below. And with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.